Well, here comes another legal update video. This stuff's getting really interesting. About 2 days ago, I was walking up the road to go to the store to get me a pack of cigarettes. Bumped into none other than John Nathan Lee, the same asshole who jumped me. I crossed the road to keep from avoiding him because, well, I just don't want to waste my time with him. And he starts talking shit, but not talking shit loud, not calling me out in the middle of the street, not, beating his chest. No, it was more like, hey, yeah, I heard you were talking shit. That's right, you better keep walking. And, well, then we crossed paths last night. I was walking back from my buddy's house. And as I was walking down the road towards the bike trail, he was coming up front of the bike trail, and every time I would take a step to the left, he'd take a step to the right to get closer and closer. And he got about 10 feet of me, and I said, what's up? In his normal voice, he says, what's up? And then he got right there at the side of my head, my peripheral vision, like literally right there, see? And right when he did, I noticed him, like, he went to turn and kind of cocked back, and when he did, I spun around kind of quick, and he goes, Timmy, is that you, Timmy? No, you ain't my friend, Timmy. I thought you was Timmy. And then just scoots his little ass on the throat as quick as can be. And it's really funny, because I don't really give a shit what kind of bullshit he says. The guy who was with him the other night knows basically what I'm talking about, even if he doesn't admit it to Nathan. It's just something Nathan's ego can't stand. But it was really funny because that night, walking back, I expected him to try to jump me or something. Instead, him and somebody else were standing over at, God, what is it? Tudor's Biscuit World. And they were yelling at me. We know what you're up to. Well, dumbass, I actually recorded that. And even though you were off in the distance, it really doesn't matter, because here's the fun part. You say you know what I'm up to. Okay. No, you don't. If you did, you would sit your ass home and drink beer and smoke cigarettes and brag about how you beat my ass, instead of running out here trying to make a point and confront me. Allow me to explain what I did and what I'm up to. I did this primarily as a deterrent. But if I really want to cross that line, I can, and it really doesn't bother me. See, when Sergeant Bailey lied about getting a warrant for you, what Sergeant Bailey did was he made himself an accessory to the fact. Now, combining that with Stewart and Capehart and Captain Eric Rogers getting up there and making his little statement and actually admitting to me that he gave Stewart and Capehart medals for falsifying evidence against me, Marlo, and Eric. And see, Marlo's case was dismissed, and I was never charged, and we all know I put that evidence on the internet. And then here's the thing about it. It's been 3 terms of the grand jury. Christine Keller's got to drop the case. She's kind of dragging her feet on it, trying to get me to take a plea bargain to temporary insanity, and I already had one psyche eval that said I'm perfectly sane. And the reason for the insanity plea is because they want me to they don't want to deal with the evidence being falsified and everything else. They don't want to deal with the evidence that's already out there. If I say if I plead temporary insanity, then I'm guilty, and they can wash all that under the rug, and that's not going to happen, Miss Keller. I'm just to let you know. And so here's the thing about it, Nathan. Your daddy lives up there on Rabbit Run Road, and your stepmommy is Mary Jennings' daughter, and, well, the police were caught protecting you and lying and everything else and trying to cover up evidence, which didn't really happen. Here's the problem we run into. See, this was intended as a deterrent, because the fact of the matter is, there's enough of a situation, to be honest, where we already have the cops covering up for you, and then, you assaulting me and everything else on tape. What it means is that, well, if we cross paths again, I can potentially, at an extreme, kill you. And I don't really want to go that far, because then there comes the whole thing of false arrest and all this other shit. And while it means multiple lawsuits in the state of West Virginia, I really don't care. Most likely that'll be a situation where I'll probably avoid arrest, and that can escalate into, well, really bad shit. And I don't really want that to happen. However, see, if you said you knew what I was up to, well, you don't get it, dumbass. You're using that little peon brain of yours, thinking I'm trying to get you on film again so I can send you to jail. They could have already done that. See, when it was you and fat-ass little Jeffrey Alden, that actually would constitute malicious wounding, asshole. That lighter or bolt or whatever you had in your hand, yeah, guess what? Malicious wounding, use of a deadly weapon. Even if it wasn't really a deadly attack. So, yeah, I really don't give a fuck. They can charge you with a felony at any time. Misdemeanors, they only have a year on. And then you're talking about how the cops are covering up for you, which this is a violation of the West Virginia laws governing, what is that I'm thinking of? Oh, what is it? Yes, organized criminal enterprises. So basically, the cops really can't protect you. And there's really not much else I give a fuck about. See, you might think because you have family that's cops, they can protect you. Nope, sorry. And them trying to protect you, well, that gets them wrapped up into it. That badge doesn't mean a fucking thing. So it just comes down to having a gun. And then the question comes down to, hey, who's willing to pull that fucking trigger to put themselves in that situation? Because even if I'm gone, there's other people that's just going to push for me. My memory, my corpse, my ghost, whatever. See, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it's going to be really funny because, see, here's the problem with Christine Keller. Before she took office, when Larry Frell was the Raleigh County prosecutor, Ashley Redden said that the prosecutor, the cop, referring to Trooper Duckworth, who is an in-law of her daddy's cousin, and her mother made her give false testimony. Now we have the cop. We already have the cops on a bunch of different stuff, falsifying evidence, blatantly. For example, in the stalking case, she mentions that I got in contact with her on New Year's on the warrant. The text messages refer to New Year's, but the text messages don't start until January 27th, and could potentially go back further. So there's a question as to whether or not the cops are covering up evidence, or she is. And then we already have it on the child porn case where the cops were caught covering up with evidence. That's why they tried to bring the child porn charges on me. So basically the only thing I did is I just kind of evened it out. Since the cops are caught committing criminal acts under color of law, well, that only gives us one of two ways. And one of those little ways happens to do with, removing any excuse, any cloak of lawful authority, which is the whole point I made when I made my statement about, the right or the reasonable expectation of actions taken in bad faith. See, you don't get it, Nathan. You're a guppy. I'm after sharks. You're bait. I don't care. And, well, I know it hurts your little ego, because you're put in this awkward position. If you let me keep running around saying that you're a snitch, you set people up for the police, and you don't kick my ass, well, everyone's going to think you're a weak-ass little punk. And, well, since I already called you out for having to have Jeffrey's help in kicking my ass, it comes down to the fact that you got to do it by yourself, don't you? To prove to everybody that you're the man you say you are. It gets even more interesting in the fact that, well, the other night, Timmy! Yeah. See, the fact of the matter is, I'm not scared of you. I don't give a flying fuck about you, your family, any of that shit. So, do what you want, push what you want, try to start what you want. I don't care about any of it. The fact of the matter is, well, you're just not important. You're over here plotting and pissed off and everything else at me when you started this shit trying to set me the fuck up. And what you don't realize is that you're just insignificant to me. I don't even give a fuck. That's why I don't even bother trying to kick your ass. I mean, really, to be honest with you, if you were somebody that I wanted to kick the shit out of, if you were a problem for me, I would have stomped you in the middle of the road instead of crossing the street. But you're not. And all you're doing is putting yourself in a position to where, well, you're going to get yourself hurt. You're putting yourself in a position to where you have two options. I can severely hurt you, or you can go to jail, maybe even prison. And, well, I'm sorry, Nathan, but best thing for you to do is sit down, have a beer, and be pissed off. Talk all the shit you want about me. I don't really care. Tell people what you want. I don't really care. But, well, try to force a confrontation or whatever is just not going to work. And, you know, it's one thing that you should be, well, let me explain something to you. Don't use the limits of your intelligence and your knowledge and your experience to believe that is the limits of mine. See, when you walked up behind me the day after jumping me when I was had that trial with Ashley, and you stood behind me while I was getting a hot dog, I know you wanted me to hit you. That's why I sat on the bench and looked at you and laughed. Because you were that blatantly obvious, trying to get me to hit you on video. Trying to set me up. Again, didn't work. Even better is the fact that instead that whole little plot of yours backfired because you got caught on video in the train tunnel because you weren't paying attention. Didn't understand your environment or who you were dealing with. So while your little bitty mind is trying to grasp the context of how I'm operating and how I'm thinking like 5 or 6 steps ahead of you, consider this. This video exists because, well, much like Amy Lily at the public library, is she in relation to you, by the way? Her jumping up and taking action gives me, well, grounds to take action myself. I can't do anything if you guys stop giving me ammunition. And thank you for all the ammunition you've given me. I've already won my court case. I've already probably substantially derailed a lot of people's careers based off what you guys have given me. And I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much.